So today I want to address the topic of domestication, especially when it comes to animals. We all know domestication can result in a drastic before and after for the creatures involved, but could that be a two-way street? When we think of domestic animals and their relationship with us, dogs are often the first to come to mind. Research has found that our relationship with dogs and the wolves from which they came stretches as far back as 18,800 to 32,100 years ago. This estimate comes from the discovery of the Bonn Oberkassel dog that was found buried with two humans. This makes them the top candidate for the first species domesticated by humans. However, there is evidence that they have changed us, just not as much as we may have changed them. Wolves were drawn to our fires for their warmth and our food. We slowly developed a relationship with them in which we began to use each other. We provided them with warmth, food, and protection, while we taught them to hunt and protect us. Prior to this, our primary relationship with any other species was hunting. There is no evidence of us ever having worked alongside another species the same way we did with wolves. In his book, The First Domestication: How Wolves and Humans Co-Evolved, Raymond Periotti and Brandon R. Fogg discuss how wolves improved our efficiency and technique when it came to hunting, allowing us to feed more of our people. This allowed our population to grow. Dogs, though they played an important role in the first step of our story of domestication, aren't nearly the only player in this game. According to National Geographic, goats were, and I quote, probably the first to be domesticated. Along with sheep, cattle, and chickens, they were domesticated approximately 10,000 years ago and maybe 8,000 BCE. The domestication of livestock is arguably the most important or prominent leap in our history of domestication. Because we were able to make our meat carry themselves, we were able to more reliably have food available all times of the year. While ox carts, or bullock carts, were invented sometime between 4000 and 3000 BCE, horses, usually considered a member of the livestock group, were another very important step in our timeline of domestication. Not only were they terrific for transportation, but they were also useful for battle around 900 BCE when fighting on horseback became more common. Horses themselves were first domesticated about 6,000 years ago, which would put them around 4000 BCE. About 1,000 years later, their equine counterpart, donkeys, joined our caravans. Between both species, they gave us the ability to travel longer distance and carry more things with us as we did so. This made it easier for us to bring tools and shelter along the way, making themselves invaluable tools, which helped make transportation more efficient. I can't mention dogs without mentioning their age-old enemy, cats. Cats were supposedly domesticated around 4,400 BCE, according to National Geographic, long after their canine counterparts. Researchers surveyed the DNA of more than 200 cats spanning the last 9,000 years. This includes ancient Romanian cat remains, Egyptian cat mummies, and modern African wildcat specimens. Supposedly, their genetics have hardly changed after their domestication, save for their distinctive stripes and dots of tabby cats. This gave rise to the notion that cats domesticated themselves. They chose a relationship with us that would benefit them and acted thusly. This, ironically, keeps with the typical cat attitude we see today. They tend to do as they please, and most don't love being kept on a leash, metaphorically or literally. Strangely enough, there is evidence of a bond forming between Galatas baboons and Ethiopian wolves. The Galatas tend to ignore the presence of the wolves, despite the danger they could pose to their infants. The wolves, in turn, forego the temptation of that easy meal in favor of rodents, which are, in turn, easier to catch when the primates are present. This kind of symbiotic relationship harkens back to what our early relationship with wolves may have been like. This possible relationship helps give a very interesting outlook on the way domestication has changed our species. In relation to the age of the Earth, and even the universe, the time between our domestication of wolves and now is less than a blink. In that blink, we as a species have come so far. If you think about it, most of us depend on domestication nearly every day. If you eat meat, you depend on domestication, which is definitely the biggest factor. Because we domesticated livestock, we created a controlled method of creating food other than plants. We no longer had to rely on the migratory patterns of our prey animals and the chance of the hunt. We could reliably sustain ourselves, and thus made the transformation from hunter-gatherers to farmers, which is generally agreed upon as the first transition towards our modern way of life. Domestication helped bring efficiency to our lives, giving early people more time to indulge their energy elsewhere. In short, domestication plays one of the most important roles in our history to make our lives the way they are today.